If you grew up in America between 1950 and 1980, you didn't just ride a bicycle. You rode a machine that could survive war. A bike so strong, kids crashed them into curbs, stairs and walls. And the bike still kept moving. That name was Schwinn. Today, that legendary American icon is hanging inside Walmart for $200. Built so cheaply that real mechanics refuse to repair it. This is the story of how the greatest bicycle brand in America was destroyed from the inside. The death of Schwinn. How America's greatest bicycle became Walmart junk. Chapter 1. The Chicago Fortress. To understand how far Schwinn fell, you first have to understand what made it legendary. For nearly 100 years, Schwinn wasn't just a bike company. It was American industrial power. On two wheels. Their bicycles were built in Chicago, using thick American steel, chrome, and engineering that bordered on insanity. These things were not light. A Schwinn Varsity weighed almost 40 pounds. But that weight meant something. It meant durability. It meant reliability. It meant your bike could survive decades of abuse. While most bicycle companies use traditional brazed frames, Schwinn developed something different, called electroforging. Instead of carefully joining thin tubes together, they fused heavy steel, using electricity and enormous pressure. The result felt less like a bicycle and more like one solid chunk of metal. The famous Chicago-built Schwinns became nearly indestructible. You could leave one outside in the rain for years, pull it out of mud, inflate the tires, and somehow it still rode. Their proprietary Chicago cage bottom bracket used oversized bearings and massive grease capacity. Everything was overbuilt, and customers loved them for it. At their peak, Schwinn sold more than 1 million bicycles every single year. They dominated the American market so completely that owning a Schwinn became part of childhood itself. But dominance creates arrogance, and arrogance kills companies slowly. Chapter 2. The mistake that changed everything. In the 1970s, something strange started happening. In California, a group of young riders in Marin County began modifying old Schwinn cruisers and racing them down mountains. They called them clunkers. Nobody realized it yet, but they were inventing mountain biking. These riders approached Schwinn and said, "You should build bikes for this." But inside Chicago headquarters, executives laughed. To them, mountain biking looked ridiculous, dirty, temporary, a fad. So they ignored it. That single decision changed the entire industry. Because while Schwinn was busy protecting the past, companies like Specialized and Trek were building the future. By the time Schwinn realized mountain biking was exploding, the market already belonged to someone else. And things inside the company were getting even worse. The Chicago factory was aging. Workers knew the machinery was outdated. They knew management was failing. Then came the breaking point. In 1980, factory workers went on strike. This was the moment. Leadership had a choice. Modernize the factory, or abandon American manufacturing. They chose abandonment. Schwinn outsourced production to a Taiwanese company called Giant. At first it seemed smart. Cheaper labor, higher profits. But Schwinn made One catastrophic mistake. They trained Giant. They gave them the manufacturing knowledge, the blueprints, and the systems. And within a few years, Giant became one of the largest bicycle companies on Earth. Schwinn had accidentally created the competitor that would help destroy them. Chapter 3. The Corporate Vultures. In 1992, Schwinn filed for bankruptcy. And this is where the story stops being sad and becomes brutal. Because the people who took over after bankruptcy did not care about bicycles. They cared about one thing: the logo. Investment firms passed the company around like a corpse being stripped for parts. Then came the final blow. In 2001, Schwinn was acquired by Pacific Cycle. Their strategy was simple: take a trusted American brand name and slap it onto the cheapest bikes possible. Suddenly Schwinn bicycles appeared in Walmart, Target, and Kmart. And that was the moment the real Schwinn died. Because you cannot build a high-quality bicycle for $150. Not with American steel. Not with premium bearings. Not with skilled labor. To hit those prices, every corner had to be cut. Cheap metal. Cheap parts. Cheap assembly. The legendary Chicago machine became a mass-produced retail product. And millions of customers never realized the difference. Chapter 4. The Bicycle-Shaped Object. Professional bike mechanics.